Hello there and welcome here at Professor Herman Manyora's channel. My name is Simon Irungu here with the big question, and I'm joined in by the one and only Mr. Herman Manyora. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm doing well.
Okay, let's go straight to the
Not
question.
complaining at all.
Okay, not complaining?
Yes,
God
yes.
has kept you well?
Well, just God's prayers and some little kienyeji food.
Okay, let's go straight to the question for today. And the question for today is, what are the key lessons that Kenyans have learned from the previous 4 administrations that should guide us going on to the upcoming election? And I want us to go one by one from Jomo Kenyattas' reign to the current, his son's reign. Okay? Yes. I want us to go back to Jomo Kenyatta. He was the person who walked Kenya into independence. What are the key things that Kenyans should learn from his reign that should guide them in the upcoming election?
I think what we will need to learn from that initial period is that whatever else you do, you must know you have a country. And remaining a country and united is much more important than even economic progress. Because progress comes for people. Remember at that time there were so many coups all over the country, all over the place. Many countries fell. Many countries became basket cases. So we learned that you need strong leadership that can keep the country together. Of course, there are bad things about like tribalism, the Kiambu Mafia, the over-domination of the Kikuyu people in government and business.
Moving Kikuyus, one of the things that people, the Rift Valley people complain, they say that Kikuyus were taking their numbers.
Yeah, so those are some of the lessons we need to learn, that we must always live knowing the only sustainable life we can have is if we always move as one. So that if you eat, be mindful of another Kenyan eating. If you think you are the only one who can eat, that's not sustainable.
Okay.
Another thing we also learn is that we thought you could be developing if you only a few people had everything. I think history has proved that that's wrong. That a country is better off when a big number of people move up economically and socially. I think we thought only a few people could own land and the rest will be squatters. That has proved wrong. It's even dangerous. There are many things we have learned, and we also saw tribalism could have brought this country down. And that's why Moi was received almost with ululation, because it was a way of ending the Kikuyu hegemony. So those are things we have learned.
Okay. You are there, you are a Kenyan citizen by then, you are a very young man. I believe you are a young man during Moi's reign.
Yes,
how was the experience then?
Well, you see, Moi was received with a lot of excitement, because you see, the Kikuyu had over-dominated the rest of the country. The Kenyatta was ruling through the provincial administration. So there was Muru in Western, there was Madenge in Nakuru, Rift Valley, and there was Mahihu in Coast. So that they had the whole country, and they could even be conducting some meetings in Gekoyo. I'm telling you, they are in Kakamega Sports Club and they are discussing issues of national importance. Yes, and they are doing it. There was Kim Gatende and Madenge in Nakuru, and they were very powerful people with the Mungai and of police. So people were happy that the Kikuyu hegemony was coming to an end, because it was going to destroy this country, honestly speaking. So they received Moi well. Moi was very humble. Another thing that attracted people to him, he looked very humble. He didn't come from a big tribe. People had been moving from a past of domination by a big tribe. Yeah. At that time, the Kalenjin was a small tribe. So again, it was another plus. And people
then they didn't have
even Jaramogi Oginga Odinga celebrated Moi taking over power. Actually, he celebrated him.
Wow.
And he did very many things in his first 10 years. So Moi was loved by many people. He gave voice to the voiceless. He went overdrive into development, building schools, converting especially girls, until people began saying all manner of things. Girls' schools that were day schools, Kina Pangani, the best example is Pangani. Yeah. He turned them into boarding schools.
Oh.
He put in so much. You see the Moi-like schools, they are dotted all over the country. They look like sunshine. You'll find them all over the country.
Okay.
Moi this, Moi that. He went into overdrive, into building Nyayo wards, and I'm telling you, he did so much within 10 years.
But he ended up...
If Moi had left at that time, people will have talked greatly of Moi for many, many generations to come. But like other human beings, you can see Museveni, once you overstay,
power is sweet. People
because
say
power is sweet, you begin to have marginal returns. And the worst moment for him was in the 1988, which again 10 years after he took power.
Yes.
The infamous Mlolongo.
So you're saying the first 10 years
Pew
he would
voting
have
system.
resigned from
He did wonderful. He changed this country. You couldn't believe this is the Kenya we knew.
Okay.
Kenya was transformed. It was a new Kenya. Roads reached where nobody had imagined a road will ever go.
And you got to see that. Wow.
Eh?
You got to see
I saw
that.
it when I was Moi took over power when I was about 20 years old. So.
Did you campaign for him?
Not. There wasn't much campaigning there. You know, immediately after the constitution was like you act for 90 days.
Yeah.
Within those 90 days, you already sworn in.
Okay, now let me ask you this question.
Yes.
Was it not for Moi being the deputy president during Kenyattas' death?
Yes.
Was there a possibility? What were the odds of him becoming a president?
0. He would have gotten no chance.
And how?
It was the vice president to succeed the president for 90 days, during which an election was to be held in the old constitution.
The old constitution.
So if you are not the vice president, it will be very difficult.
Okay.
It will be extremely difficult. It would have to be like a coup. Which is why there was the change constitution movement, spearheaded by people like Kika Kimani, the father to Susan Kika, senator, and people like Paul Ngei and other Kikuyus, who said, we want to change the constitution so that if a president leaves office or dies in office, the vice president does not succeed him automatically. Paul Ngei, the Kamba man, said, forget about 90 days. Give me even 1 day, nobody can take it from me. But Kenyatta was smart enough.
So you're saying during the 90 days is when now
everything,
Moi was, things happened.
It's proposed by Kanu, seconded, blah, 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 sworn in.
Let's go to Moi Kibaki's reign. During the start of the reign to the end, I was there. I was a very young boy.
Yes.
I even don't remember the 2002 election quite well.
Yes.
How is it, and what are the lessons that Kenya should learn from this reign of Moi Kibaki that should help them, should guide them during the upcoming election?
You know, Kibaki took over power at a turning point.
Okay.
Both in our history and in the world economy.
And we also had, for the first time, Aluo man supporting.
Yes. Not the first time. Jaramogi had supported Kenyatta.
Okay.
Luos have always supported Kikuyu.
Okay, at that time when he was doing it, it was not expected.
Yeah, it was not expected because of the persecution Luos had faced under the Kikuyus, under Kenyatta. Nobody expected it.
Okay.
You see, when Kibaki took over, this country was down. It was completely down.
Yeah.
It's like we had lost hope. And that's why it was said that Kenyans were judged to be the most optimistic people when Kibaki took over. Yote yawezekana bila Moi. Yote yawezekana bila
Moi.
So the environment was there. Everybody was expecting good things, and so Kibaki started with a lot of goodwill. That's it, goodwill. And he only needed to tweak 1 or 2 things, and things looked great. So he did a few things that mesmerized people, including my father. When I tried to convince my father to vote for Raila, maybe, he told me, my friend, I still remember what my late father told me. Mzee Moja. Say, my son, stand and face the other side. Turn now. Face east, face west, face north. What have you seen? Tell me if you have not seen something Kibaki has done.
That's true.
CDF had come during Kibaki. Free primary education had come through Kibaki. And many of those things had come during the Kibaki era. So he came out as a very, very, very progressive leader. Something else. Kibaki took over at a time when the world was changing, especially liberalism. Before that, being found with $1, I think I have $1 or 2 here, it could send you to jail.
Having $1? Having
foreign currency. Warudu Kanja had served, MP of Nyeri. He served term for being found with you had to declare if you alight you come from another country, you have dollars, or you declare to be found outside the airport with those dollars you would go in.
So you
So
could
many
just
things
keep
had
a dollar
changed.
for a souvenir.
Yeah, and banks were now changing. Banks were now hawking loans. So many people attribute this to Kibaki, but it was the changing time. There was a turnaround in the global business environment where liberalism, banks were going out to look for customers, and for the first time, I just walked in somewhere and I was given some 600,000 shillings without anything. I just signed a small document and I was given it 600,000, and then I was given
By
another
then it was a lot of money.
Yes, and to pay with your salary. Nobody had thought of it, and that's not Kibaki. That's the world that was now
That's
changing.
the world changing.
IMF had also been very hard on Kenya and the World Bank because of the physical indiscipline, and corruption. Let's just say because of corruption. So when Kibaki came and he was promising to work with zero corruption, donor funding also began coming in.
Okay.
But another thing Kibaki did, which was very good, was to say, let us not borrow for development. Let us collect taxes. And immediately the first or second year, Kenya moved from collecting 200 billion to 600 billion. Just like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he did a lot of things, and people loved him. I hate him for one thing. I must use the word hate without qualifying.
But you don't mean bad.
I don't mean bad. I just say he's the worst president according to me. And
Why would you say that?
The reason being
After
this,
praising him, why would you say that?
let me tell you, if Kibaki had not betrayed Raila, this country would not be where it is now. We would be in the skies. Hii kitu ya ukabila ingekuwa imeisha.
So
he squandered an opportunity.
He took us back to what happened to Kenyatta.
He squandered an opportunity by being pushed to betray Raila.
Wow.
I know the politics was bigger than he could handle.
Okay.
And another thing Kibaki did, he did something which even Moi could not do.
What did he do?
In 2007.
What did he do?
To cling to power. He has been defeated and he refuses and goes to be sworn in at night.
But he said power is sweet.
Power is sweet,
People
but
don't
he did
to
something Kenyans had forgotten. After Moi had handed over power, no Kenyan ever imagined a president could go to State House and cling to power. Because Moi was pushed to hand over power before the arrangements were even made. Because people didn't believe that he would hand over to Kibaki.
After 24
So
years.
even the government is telling people, Kenamukisa Kituya and the rest, we are inviting foreign dignitaries. This is a serious transfer of power. The first transfer from a living president to another president. Let us invite the whole world. They could not accept. They hurried and pushed him. Handover was
It was a handover.
So when Kibaki took us back, I have never forgiven him.
Okay, now we have to move on to the current reign,
Yes.
to the current administration. That is Uhuru's administration.
Yes.
How has it been, according to your own opinion?
You see, Uhuru campaigned on the platform of youthful leadership, on the platform of, on a digital platform. Very unfortunately, we didn't see much of that. But Uhuru has continued with the infrastructure development that Kibaki started, and done it many, many times over. So when people can get stuck somewhere, people are stuck that Kibaki did a lot, and they can only point at Thika Road, 32 kilometers.
Wow.
You look at the thousands of kilometers of roads that Uhuru has done. You look at the impossible things that, if Thika Road was a wonder, the word is super. Highway. What do they say when they see this expressway?
I remember people.
People are driving in the skies. What are they going to say?
When
look at the Lamu port.
Okay.
There are wonderful things that have happened during what do you call it? Uhuru's time. But my standards are too high. You see, my bar is so high. I believe this country is nowhere near where it should be. So any of these presidents, I will still blame them because they have not pushed Kenya where it ought to be.
Do you feel that all of them, they would have done something different to push Kenya to higher levels?
If Kenyatta, for example, the first Kenyatta, did not allow the Kiambu Mafia to crowd his leadership and to elbow out other Kenyans, and therefore we grew up as a nation, we would just, that alone, if Kenyatta just did that alone, to build nationhood, if he did not betray Jaramogi and the rest of those people, this country will be in the skies.
Okay, so as we come to the end of the show, what do you feel that Kenyans, during all this administration, what do you feel that Kenyans should learn from these leaders or from this administration that they should look at before we go to the upcoming election, and we should do maybe different in order to have a brighter future or a better future?
What they should do is what BBI proposes.
Okay.
Handle the politics of this country. Deal with our own demons. The demon of tribe, the demon of betrayal. Create nationhood. Have a structure of governance that is all-inclusive, that is not exclusive. Do a constitutional amendment or constitutional architecture that deals a blow to the winner takes all. Come up with an architecture of governance that makes Kenyans communities work together. So that if you have a government, whether it's a Ruto government or a Raila government or a Mudavadi government, it's the government of all Kenyans. Jubilee was a Kalenjin Kikuyu government. Kibaki's was a Kikuyu government. We don't want those kind of governments. We will never move forward so long as we have a government of one or two communities. That's why I support the idea of BBI. It creates an infrastructure, a governance infrastructure that puts all these communities together in a particular government, so that the other gang, the other grouping, can also wait for their turn, and while checkmating this one. So if Luos and Luyas and Kikuyus and Kalenjin are opposing a Luya Kikuyu government, you see how healthy it can be.
Yeah.
But if Kikuyus are opposing a Luo government,
it's the same thing.
They can't see the value in the opposition and the criticism. They see tribalism in it, and they go back to their tribe. But how will you go back to tribe if your prime minister is a Kikuyu? You are president, you are a Luo. Your deputy president is a Luya. A Pokomo is your deputy prime minister. A Somalia is your deputy prime minister. You see?
Yeah, I see.
National Assembly Speaker. You put all these people together in the government and in the opposition. So I buy into BBI, and we must go in that manner, because we have not matched our potential because of the demon of tribalism from 1963 to date.
Okay, and we need to bring that
we need to bring to an end in the interest of our grandchildren and in the interest of your children.
So, okay, I think we are going to wrap up at that. Thank you very much for tuning in. Well, that was a very educative history lesson from Herman Manyora himself.
I'm doing it on behalf of Raila.
On behalf of Raila.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and do so. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day.